after we did a 3-month trip between December and March this year, just gone.
90 days.
90 days.
Wow.
And we traveled through Philippines for 2 months, Malaysia for a month. And I did have my computer there, and I did have the odd call. But when I came back, you know what? The team lost team members. Team recruited team members. I didn't even interview them. I came in. I must admit, I did raise some questions when they said, well, we've got this guy. These are the criteria. And I said, have you thought of this? Have you thought of that? What would you do if this happened?
Yep.
And then I said, well, go ahead. And I met the guy the first time I came back from holiday.
Thank you for coming on. I appreciate it very much.
It's a big pleasure, Mike.
We've been working together for quite a while. So really excited to kind of have you on and just get some feedback from you. It's not formal, and I'm going to ask you a few questions to kind of get things going. And then, but if you want to go off track or go into anything, please be my guest.
There was this frustration that I looked at. Actually, I had this piece of software that we used to communicate in the team with. And this thing had the habit to remember stuff that used to work for me.
Mm-hmm.
And no matter how I tried to delete the names, I kept seeing these names. And every time I write a message and I tag somebody, I see all the others. And the others were all the ones that left. And Mike, that list started getting really long. This is a good few years ago.
Yeah.
And I really thought to myself one day, you know what, I need to do something different. This can't carry on. And I remember one morning I came in and there was a problem with a particular vehicle that this technician was using all the time, and he had to switch over and use a different vehicle. And in the time also, Pierre was the guy that would go and pack everything in the van in the morning, make sure that the guys know what they need to do, and run around and micromanage everyone and tell them what they need to do. And I was the linchpin and connecting all these things.
Yep.
And 12 o'clock, the technician would call me up and go, oh, you forgot to put my sprayer in my van, so I can't do this job. And Pierre would pull his hair out. And of course, the lack of delegation and empowering the team was very, very, very prevalent there.
Yeah.
But this one morning, Marty came in. And Marty, if you watch this video, please forgive me. I know it's my lowest moment.
Sorry, Marty.
So I remember he came in the morning and he soon reported his vehicle is not, somehow the machine is not starting. And I simply turned to him, and by this time he was probably with us for a good 6 to 12 months. So you would have had time to maybe, on my mind, had time to switch between different vehicles and know how it works. And I said, don't worry, you can just take this vehicle out today. And that's when he turned around and go, well, I don't know how to use it. Oh, Mike. This was the old me, right? So I literally, inside the van by the side is some jumper cables that all the vehicles are hooked on so they can charge, so they can jump start the vehicle in case of breakdown.
Yeah.
I literally grabbed this off and I threw him with it. And I just went mad. So you can imagine the emotion of a business owner that are packing vehicles, taking full responsibility. If anything wrong, I'd come to me and I'll just take responsibility for this. I'm telling you what you need to do. Do not come and tell me what you need to, what you want to do today. I will not change the diary. And then if you're not knowing what to do, duck because something come flying.
Okay.
So you can imagine the sort of emotions that could go through a leader's head at that level.
Yeah, and I really admire your honesty with stuff like this, Pierre, because you're not going to, some people might say, oh, I don't want to talk about that because it was embarrassing. But you're very open and honest.
The other impact this have, and those watching the videos that work with their partner or significant other, that relationship so suffer because you have those moments in the morning where you make stuff fly, you shout at technicians, it's all going wrong, you walk in the office, your dear wife or partner is there answering the phone, and then ask you a question, and you are not the best you, and that drive home the afternoon or the evening and you live together, it was not very healthy.
You've literally read my mind there. We've obviously spent too much time together, Pierre, because my next question was going to be, did this have any impact on your personal life or your relationship? So you've answered that. So you're stressed at work, because the business is dependent on you, which you've highlighted, you kind of wanted it to be. And I think that's normal as well. So what was the point? What was the turning point where you were like, right, I want to get some help. I want to get somebody in to help me with this. What made you choose to work with us?
When I spoke to you, Mike, the energy that was there, I just thought, it's a no-brainer. So let's do this. And then we spoke the same language. That was good. Your story was really inspirational. Hearing how you got to where you are. And there's a very big sense of humbleness also in you. You don't come over as too corporate. I've worked with other coaches that was preceding you that had brought me benefit. But what I actually identified at the time was they brought me benefit, but my team were all actually going, "Oh, we don't like that guy. He's just another version of Pierre." And there was no buy-in from the team. And that when the big shift came when we started working together, and I go, "Right, Mike, you just work with the leaders now. We work together, you work with the leaders," and the impact that brought. To add more to the question of why did I choose to work with you and have my team work with you? I remember the sessions where I literally mounted the television in the morning in a warehouse where we do rug cleaning. There's a carpet down, put a table down and chairs down, and the screen is there, and Mike's on the screen, and a good 10 people are around and talking about stuff, and I actually sometimes made it my effort to slip away and leave them to talk to you.
Yeah.
And how that got on, and I just knew I made the right choice. I guess the better way, the other way of answering that question is, what would have happened if we chose not to work with Mike? A wise lady that I really respect once told me, the cream always rises to the top. If we would not have worked together, I think that it would have probably still been the coach that was more my coach, and I'm still the one telling them, "You have to do this." Probably in a maybe softer way, because naturally I started learning, I started reading, I wanted to be better. So but what the shift was, and what the language is I hear Joe, Nicola, and the others that work with you has shared with me is, you are their guy. There's a bit of a gap between the leaders and Mike forms a team. Pierre and Mike forms a team.
Yeah.
I can be direct and straight with you. My disc profile, I have my moments. I can be better. There are great moments, there are less great moments, but we have it contained in our conversation.
Yeah.
Where those conversations can be less productive if I just go to the team. And yes, sometimes, they slip out. They do slip out. And I'm like, afterwards, walking out, going, "Oh, could have done better."
Yeah.
Yeah, the old monster is also there sitting on the other shoulder saying, "You didn't tell him enough. You should have screamed at them. You should have thrown a cup around."
Yeah.
But luckily he's in a cage, so he doesn't harm now.
We've built a cage for him, yeah.
So I hope that answers it. And I picked this up from your nature of doing business with your clients, people like us, people like me. I feel Mike, you work with Joe, Nicola. Go and do your thing.
Yeah.
I'm not there at every meeting, right? What are you talking about today? Why is that not on the list? So autonomy and freedom and trust in the leaders that work with you, that I feel is, if I would change that, I feel it would totally undermine everything we've done. So if that is the one thing for me, at least, is if anybody comes and say, "I want to work with Mike," I think you need to have enough trust in the leaders you then let work with Mike, and step back and let them have their time and have your own time with Mike. So that's for me the most significant.
Yeah, and that's been a double whammy, right? Because that's obviously had a positive impact on them, like you said, the autonomy and the freedom. But it's also had a big impact on your lifestyle, right? Because what was your time in the business before this, and stress levels, and what's your time and stress levels in the business now? Because I know you've had a pretty big event that we talked about this end of last year, beginning of this year, that I think we need to shout about the rooftops from, because it's something that a lot of business owners think isn't possible unless they've got this, massive behemoth of a business with staff. They think it's not possible that they can step away, but you're living proof that actually you can do some pretty cool stuff if you put some basic systems in place.
Yes, it is. It's definitely, it is that, and what I've implemented to allow me to do that freedom. So it's really in your thinking and what you believe of yourself and your team, and sometimes you're just gonna have to let go. And yes, it has been a big step. This dream we've had back in 2018.
Mm-hmm.
Lawrence and I sat together. We planned out a year away, a year out of the business.
Yep.
And at the time, I was far from the delegation, and you just take care of it. The business was very immature at the time, and I'm sort of glad that things happened that we didn't go on the trip at the time.
Yep.
So we did a 3-month trip between December and March this year. Just gone.
90 days.
90 days.
Wow.
And we traveled through Philippines for 2 months, Malaysia for a month, and I did have my computer there, and I did have the odd call. But when I came back, you know what? The team lost team members. Team recruited team members. I didn't even interview them. I came in. I must admit, I did raise some questions when they said, well, we've got this guy, these are the criteria. And I said, have you thought of this? Have you thought of that? What would you do if this happened?
Yep.
And then I said, well, go ahead. And I met the guy the first time I came back from holiday.
I think the thing that makes me the happiest for you and for the business is you and your wife going away for 90 days. I love that. I think so many business owners feel trapped. They tell themselves that's impossible, and you've made so many changes in your life and business. But like, I want to shout that from the rooftop. Like, this guy's got he's got like 5 businesses in total. You know, he's got all these teams scattered across all these different areas, and he's gone on holiday for 90 days. And what? On the process of systems, because obviously we talk a lot about systems, what systems or changes in the business would have not have happened or been very difficult / impossible if you hadn't been working with us?
I would go down top down. It would be in fact, it would be impossible for me to own 5 businesses if I didn't have my leadership team, Joe and Nicola, looked after the way you helped them.
Yeah.
That would be hard. Also, I know my personality type, DI, living a lot in the D side. My coach from days gone by said to me, I've never seen a D like you. So
what Pierre means there, by the way, is dominant. People might mistake it for the wrong D, Pierre. Yeah,
no, that's right. The dominant, yes. Oh, sorry, I see what you mean by in case somebody misunderstands the D, but sometimes even that D is present. So
we've all got a bit of that.
In the moment of stress, I would totally understand if Joe and Nicola would come to me and go, Pierre, we can't do this anymore. Either I leave or I'm just a technician again, or I just answer the phone again, but I cannot do this. And that would have meant that I would then have to turn to my other 4 businesses and go, guys, you just have to muscle on by yourself because I'm busy being a technician again. I'm busy running this business and taking care of things.
What would you say to either Pierre, a few years ago, or another business owner that's maybe frustrated with their team, they've got staff leave and they don't really know what to do? What advice would you give them with all that you've learned?
There's probably a book there, but of course that's not what we need now. I would definitely state the obvious.
Yeah.
You're watching this video and you think to yourself, it's just, you know what, I'll get to that another time because the van's tire is blown out on the M25 and they need to worry about that. My machine is broken down and my technicians need me, and they have learned over the years that guess what, they just need to pick up the phone and I'll be there for them. And I'm deep inside, I'm frustrated and I want to do so many things and I feel tired. Formula for change is maybe something to consider. Yeah, the first thing is look at your dissatisfaction, and I feel that we all sometimes are woolly about what are we actually unhappy about. We are happy, we are just unhappy enough, but not happy enough to just keep driving down the M25 and go change the tire for the technicians, right?
Yeah.
We are just happy enough, but just unhappy enough to do nothing about the fact that team member's underperforming. So be very clear about what is it that you are. Be clear on what is it that you're dissatisfied with. Then the next one in the equation goes, right, what does the vision look like? What do I want this to look like? Then first step. First step is, what am I going to do next? And here is the bit that I think, Mike, you and anybody like you fits really well, is for the business owner, driving down the M25, sweating buckets, thinking I've got so much to do, the phone is not ringing, Susie is unhappy, I don't get time with my family. It is lonely. It is exceptionally lonely. And for those that work, like we said earlier, with your partner and significant other, it's lonely because at work time you are awful to them. Because somehow, and I attended a seminar once where I learned that we somehow have to assume permission that we can just be who we want to be with our significant other. It doesn't matter, but sometimes we are not even that awful with our staff. So it causes us to be very lonely. So find somebody that can be your wingman or wingwoman. To help you with that. So that is where I would go first step. Find somebody that you can even chat to. Mike, I'm sure you would be happy to talk to somebody for an hour, because we spent quite a bit of time on the phone together at the beginning before we started working, when it started cleaning up my vision. So you might go, well, let's maybe do that. Let me speak to Mike. So find Mike or somebody like Mike, spend an hour, talk about it, share your problems, hear what he's got to say, process that a little bit. And that equation ends with, it all has to be greater than the comfort zone. We all love the comfort zone, and it's, again, it comes back to the bit of this profile, especially the CSs, the ones below the line. They don't like conflict, so you know what, we'll just let Susie be, let's keep our head down, she's going to go away, I'll just keep driving and saving everybody whose tires blow out. It's soon going to go away because we're in the comfort zone, we don't really want to do something, it's the status quo, hey, let it be. Of that whole equation, I would say to the Pierre of years gone by, get clear on what you want, get clear what you're unhappy about, get a wingman you could chat to and say, hey, how's this?
I love that.
Hope that very long answer gives you an answer.
No, that's gold dust. I think that's really, really powerful and really valuable. I'm already looking forward to having that little monologue there edited out, edited in its own clip, because I think a lot of business owners need to hear that piece, especially about like the loneliness. But I love the way that you break that down into get clear on what you do want, get clear on what you don't want. And then it's that get some help, because it's so lonely that we can get stuck in our own heads and keep ourselves stuck in a place where we're not happy. And I do remember that, I remember us not just talking on the phone, but meeting up and getting really clear on like, what do you want, Pierre? Like, what do you want? Because you've got 5 businesses, you're so driven, you've got all this stuff, but with that comes a lot of stress, and we had to get clear on what do you want as well as what you don't want, because there's always stuff we don't want. So we have to get clear on both of those, because if we don't do that, it's very difficult for us to make the stuff happen that we need to happen, because all change is effort, isn't it? It's all effort, and we need to make sure that's aligned to what you want. And when it is aligned to what you want, we've got the motivation and consistency to keep going after it.
And I think it's just important to also add, people look at it and go, oh, perhaps those listening, or some of those listening would go, oh, he's all right, 5 businesses should be okay. Those are small businesses. Yeah. One of them has got 1 or 2 employees. Yeah. They don't turn over multiple millions. No. They are small businesses that, well beyond the VAT threshold, absolutely. Yep. But we are not talking multiple millions, maybe getting to multiples if you add everything together, but they're all small little tiny companies in their own right, which has got, at the small stage, many challenges, and those watching this video can certainly associate. We are not some big corporate company.
No, yeah, and I think that makes you super relatable. You're very down to earth. What age did you move to the UK? I
was 24.
You came over in your early 20s from South Africa, and you've just grafted and built these great little businesses. They're not Gymshark or ChatGPT, but they're great little businesses in little niches, and you've built them on your back and built teams and survived 2 recessions with those businesses, built jobs for people. Now you're in a position where you can go on holiday for 90 days. And I think it's super inspirational. I think there's so much emphasis online put on how big is the business that this person's built and how many exits that they have. And I think there's not enough emphasis placed on like, what's this person achieved and what lifestyle have they got and how many jobs are they creating for people. And how much fun are they having? You know, all of that stuff, and how far have they come? I think we need to put more emphasis on that. And I think you're a fantastic role model and case study of that. Thank you very much for your honesty, your humor, and your insight. It's always a pleasure, and I look forward to getting this put out online.
That's great, Mike. Thank you very much, and thanks for letting me be on it. It's very kind of you.